here's what you need for this one. An 8 to 10 ounce sirloin steak, finely ground coffee, salt, pepper, vegetable oil, some white wine vinegar, white wine, black peppercorns, tarragon, shallots, butter, and egg yolks. All right, Dev, I am intrigued. You got steak, you got coffee. I am in. Take it away.
So Tracy, really exciting segments today because coffee I love so much. Now when we're working with different types of coffee, we have Arabica or Robusta. This is Arabica, so it's smoother, it's fruity, and I love infusing coffee with red meats. One of my favorite dishes to do is coffee braised short rib. So when I thought I would do a coffee rubbed sirloin, I thought when I would do a coffee rubbed sirloin, it would just make sense that I could rub some of this coffee on it. So what I have here is I have a beautiful sirloin steak. You can see how thick this is. This is a big boy, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with a bit of salt on both sides, just like that. Make sure you season every part of this guy. Make sure you season the sides, and make sure you get it everywhere. And then I'm going to take my coffee, and I'm going to rub that on. Also, we always like to have a few things going at once here. So while this is happening, we have my Bearnaise sauce going on. And I know I've made hollandaise on the sauce a couple times. I think I did it once the classic way. And Tracy, I don't know if you remember, but I did it once with a hand blender. Do you remember that?
I remember that. You've done all sorts of creative things in studio. And you know what? It always turns out because you're Dev and you just got the touch.
I feel very confident around you. You give me a good, safe place to, get creative,
Good.
So, we're going to take this coffee rub steak just with salt. I have my cast iron on the side burner of my barbecue, and I'm going to lay this steak in there. Now, because this steak is a good 1.5 inches thick, I probably won't be able to finish it on that burner, so it's going to need to go into the barbecue, and that's why the barbecue is preheated. Make sure we have a good amount of fat in there. And I can already, it smells like breakfast, which is amazing. We're going to talk about one of my favorite things in the world. I love mother sauces, and we're not going to make our classic hollandaise. We're going to make a Bearnaise sauce, or a sauce Bearnaise. What is the difference between the two? Well, let me tell you. First of all, when you're making this, you do not want your water at a boil, because it's going to be too hot. So I'm just going to turn the temperature down here, and we're just going to keep this at a low simmer, okay? So that's here. Here is the beginning of a sauce Bearnaise. So what this is essentially when you're making a hollandaise, you're going to have lemon juice, and you're going to create an emulsion with clarified butter and egg yolk. And that's what we all love. Like, my favorite dish growing up is going for breakfast and getting eggs Benedict. As soon as they start napping or draping that hollandaise sauce, it doesn't even have to go on a poached egg. You could pour it over like a book and I'll eat it. Like, that hollandaise sauce can go absolutely anywhere. But the key to a Bearnaise sauce, this is a little bit different now. What we want to do is we want to create a reduction, which I've already done ahead of time. This reduction will be white wine vinegar, it will be shallot, it'll be tarragon, and it'll be black peppercorn. Now I cook this off and I put a splash of water into it and I reduce the reduction. The white wine, the shallot, the peppercorn, the tarragon, this all denotes Bearnaise sauce. So a sauce Bearnaise or a Bearnaise sauce, which we know from steakhouses in different places, this is a derivative, or it's called the child of hollandaise, and the hollandaise is one of the 5 mother sauces. We have our hollandaise, we have our velouté, we have our espagnole, we have our tomates, and we have our bechamel. Whew, almost forgot there. So as this is coming together, I can start adding some butter into the mix, and I can smell the tarragon in there, I can smell all those beautiful flavors. While this is going over here, I'm going to take my steak, and we're going to give this guy a little flip. I'm going to make sure that oil goes everywhere. Oh man, come on. Looking unbelievable. Tracy, do you see this right now?
I totally see it. And I'm just wondering, if I know that you rubbed the coffee on, does it really, should you do that way in advance? Is it okay if you do it right before you put it on the grill? Like, what's going to give it the most flavor, Dev?
I'm really glad that you brought this up, because if we put the coffee on and the heat's too high, the coffee will burn. Similar to why a lot of people will add pepper halfway through the cooking process with their steak, such that it doesn't burn right off the bat. This, what I'm doing here, it's at a medium heat. You can see if we zoom in, you can see that the bubbles are very gentle. It's not very aggressive, and it has a nice sweet coffee flavor here. So this is not overcooking. You can see that the oil, there's nothing burning in the oil down here. It's nice. So when you add this on, I would do it right before you sear it. If you do it too far ahead of time, it'll start to really penetrate that meat, and it'll really start to become part of the flesh at that point. And I don't think that's a good idea. We want to season it right before it goes on. Also, by salting it ahead of time, we're going to start to draw moisture out of this steak, and we're not going to be able to get as good of a color. Okay, so we're back on the heat over here. When you're making hollandaise or bearnaise, it's quite common for you to bring the bowl on and off the heat so you can manage the temperature. But what we want to do is, as the butter disappears into this mixture, and again, this is 3 egg yolks, 2 tablespoons of that white wine reduction, and we add butter in slowly until it emulsifies. And you can see that we're getting a really nice sauce. And this gets me so excited because you can put this over your poached egg, or it can go on top of asparagus, or it can go on top of steak, or you can nappe a piece of cod, or you can do eggplant or broccoli or bok choy or cauliflower. Anything goes with this sauce. As that butter disappears, I add in a bit more. We're multitasking. We're trying to do multiple things at once. That's how we get organized, and that's how we cook for big groups of people. That's how we get dinner on the table for our family. Take that steak. Look at both sides now. Beautiful color. Nothing burnt, but this fat cap needs to get seared off. So this goes down. As soon as this is done searing, I'm going to put it down and put it into my barbecue to continue the cooking process.
You know, all this multitasking, Dev, it's like you're ready for parenthood. Is your mom around? Should we reintroduce this conversation about you finding a wife, starting a family? Don't worry, I'll DM her.
She's out there somewhere.
Yeah, I'll DM her.
Let's do the steak now. Over here we have our coffee rubbed sirloin steak. I'm going to slice into it. Here I just have some asparagus. Asparagus in hollandaise, asparagus in bearnaise is very popular. So I'm going to slice the steak down. Make sure this doesn't move too much. See, nice cook on the inside. Nice and pink. I'm going to place this on my bed of asparagus, which is over here. And I want to fan this out a little bit, make it look pretty. This piece I'm going to remove and just leave off to the side for now. We're going to give this a quick wipe down, Tracy, because it's really important that when you're at home and you're working, that your station looks nice and clean. Like that chocolate from 2 minutes ago, I still can't get it out of my head, okay? So make sure you're working nice and clean. Now let's get a large spoon, and we're going to put on our sauce bearnaise. So again, this is the white wine reduction with tarragon, black peppercorn, and we do the emulsification with just some egg yolk and butter, of course. So take this, and now we're doing what's called nappe. Nappe is to, kind of cascade it over. And look how unreal this looks. Like, who's not going to want to eat this? This looks like something that came out of a restaurant. Tracy, you can make this for guests. You can make this for your family. You can charge them like $50 for this. You know that.
I would totally charge them $50 for that. If they got me in the kitchen, you know what? I'm charging you $100.
Here we have two different dishes. Yeah, 2 different dishes utilizing that coffee. So we have our espresso chocolate mousse with smoked salt. You can still see how it's holding its shape. That shows us that it's nice and aerated. Then we have a beautiful bed of asparagus topped with our coffee rubbed sirloin steak, topped with our bearnaise sauce, which is the child of hollandaise. Let's work more on our mother sauces at home, people.
We absolutely should. And I would say that serving of mousse is actually perfect.